moves slow, time moves fast. In this dance we call the past. Mental health, a fragile thread, but we'll find strength. Let love spread, life's a climb. Just take a step, rise above, find your breath. In the darkness we will find a shining light to free our mind, to free our mind. Self-growth blooms like petals bloom, shedding tears will heal the wounds and the chaos. Let's find peace, embrace the pain, let it release.
Relax your mind. It's divine time.
All right. How y'all doing? It's your boy, Donley Divine. I am sitting here on a Saturday, and yes, Bianca, you are muted. I saw your mouth move, but I ain't hear nothing. We got an episode today talking about let's discuss solutions. In this episode, ultimately, what I want to do is let's briefly bring up an issue that we notice. So each individual person bring up an issue that you notice. Let's talk the solutions followed by action on how we can fix that. Okay? Because I'm like, and we're living in a world where a lot of people bring up a lot of things that are wrong, but nobody wants to talk about how we can fix it. And I'm like, I'm not one of those individuals. I'm like, how can we change this around? How can we make a positive impact? How can we create a solution and follow through with it so that way we can make this world a better place? Because I'm not gonna lie, Earth is ghetto. I'm ready for the aliens to beam me up. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I need to do my part to make it a better place as well. Michael Jackson often said, the only way to make the world a better place, you must first look in the mirror and be that change. And with that, it takes one. And then with one and another one, that makes two. And as everything keeps on growing, the ants go marching one by one, right? So with that, this is your boy, Donley Divine. I want to go ahead and hit into the introductions. Mr. Impossible, you're going last. You should already know where you stand on that. I will go ahead and send it off to Mrs. Sigma Uno first. If you can, ma'am, unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
I am at Sigma Uno. I am an advisor to you and young adults, and I strive to assist people to get to where they want to go, their goals, their dreams, their aspirations, whether it be business, whether it be school, self-improvement. You need to build a map, write a map, find a map, conduct a map. I will help you draw yourself there.
All right. Mr. Sigma Uno, you have your camera off. Are you ready to get on camera? There we go. Now, Mrs. Bianca, I'm going to go ahead and throw you on, all right? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Bianca. I currently work in mental health. um, I am cosplaying as an adult, trying to figure out how to be one effectively. And my life path is 9. And with my personality, that makes sense. My goal in life is to make a difference. I try to live off the thank you principle. If when people tell me thank you, it make me feel good. So it's like I made a difference. It's just the little things. And I try to be best friends with my future self. So improving myself a little bit day by day. That's it.
All right, Mr. Sigma Uno. Mr. Sigma Uno.
I am. My name is Rob. My name is Sigma. My I am a counselor for young people. Also account for youth, counselor for youth. Um, I believe in community forward movement. I believe in building. I believe in training our young people, our children correctly. I also, well, just things that I can't say right now, but it's part of what we're talking about. Glad to be here among the greatest minds in itself at this point.
All right, you know what time it is, Mister Talk That Crap.
Talk that crap. Y'all already know what it is. Impossible Prince King God, author, poet, consultant, philanthropist, entrepreneur, you name it. I feel a motherfucking void. Wherever it's going down, that's what we doing. So you want to take yourself to a new height, new light, a life for a life. Give up a life and learn to get a new one. It's a life for a life. Let's go.
So you're a ventriloquist and a gynecologist too?
Nah,
What?
nah, I don't do none of them.
Gynecologist? What?
I don't do none of them. They gotta. You need somebody to. You need somebody to go to school for that type of stuff. I don't got that type
Yeah.
of skills and expertise. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know
I
nothing
was
about it.
like, he's a medical doctor? I was like, what?
She was like, "Oh man, you ain't mentioned
No,
that all these days. You ain't said
no,
that."
no,
Oh,
Queenie. I do not fit that.
yeah, he doesn't fit the click. Okay. Oh,
Mm.
so with that, I want to go ahead and just jump straight into it. Like I said, let's discuss solutions. So with that, let's discuss solutions. I'll go ahead and hit the first topic so that way I can kind of see exactly how I want to operate on this matter.
All right.
The first thing that I'm gonna bring this one up because as of right now, this has been trending. Queenie, don't punch me. That whole bear versus man thing. I'm sorry, I had to say Queenie don't punch me because I saw you posted a couple videos about it. But what I feel that it comes down to is a lack of trust in humanity. I feel like that's the issue, the lack of trust in humanity. So the root of that whole bear versus man, I feel that lack of trust in humanity is the root of that. And I'm like, let's talk. So let me hear y'all point of view on that, and let's talk solutions on it. I'll jump at once.
Well, men have a bad reputation as it is. That's media wise. Media wise, we are slandered ultimately in the media. You have feminist groups that don't like men for whatever reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get that type of response, that they'd rather be in there with the bear rather than a man, they're at their wits' end and they trust the bear more than they trust men. But it's all media, right? It's what's fed from the media into your psyche. So regardless of whether you know it's true or not, or you're dealing with one person, puts you in the mindset that you don't want to have anything to do with the rest of the population of men, then I understand the answer or the answers to most of those the answer that most of those people gave or most of those women gave. Um, Solutions. I believe that we've lost touch with humanity. Literally lost touch with humanity. When I mean touch, I mean reach out and touch, or be in the same room with. You have all these devices that set us apart from people. Period. Unless you have to encounter, unless you have to encounter that's the situations of family. But as far as being outside among people, vibrating among people,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're vibrating draws those things that are connected to that vibration. If it's frustration, if it's anger, if it's despise, all of that is going to lead you to that person that you want to continue to hate, be upset with, and despise. It's changing the vibration. It's wanting love vibration, or working up to it. Because maybe you are pissed off at that particular person. You can't get over it right now, so you're working your way through it. The best thing to do is to stay to yourself until you grasp the concept of what happened and build yourself up enough to where you can move on. Otherwise, you're going to see every man the same.
Mm.
You're going to be angry at every man because of that one situation. Not all people are like that, but it takes a synergy for you to say, okay, he's moved on. He did what he did. It doesn't really. I don't want it to affect my life anymore, and I'm done. Again, I'm saying it, but and I know it isn't easy at all. But it's something that you need to work through. They need to work through to get to the point where it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. My life is centered this way, and whatever I'm vibing, I'm going to attract.
Okay. Mrs. Sigma Uno.
Truth, knowing people the way I know people, I would choose the bear because I know the bear doesn't know how to do anything else but to be that bear. A solution to that, I firmly believe if everybody operated in their lane, and when I say their lane, I mean their gift, your talent, what you are called to do, then things would work smoothly. There would be less conflict and more resolution than altercation, conflict, and problem.
All right. Miss Mocha.
So in that situation, I definitely choose the bear. And the reason I choose the bear is because in that hypothetical, the bear is predictable. The bear, you you know the reason a bear may be coming for you. You don't know the intention a man has for you.
Mm.
Depending on the situation, even if it was just a woman, I would choose the bear still, depending on the situation. But we know that, you know, violence perpetuated by males is at a higher rate. So I'm going to choose the bear. I mean, I don't know if y'all ever heard of the monitor lizard and what a bunch of men did to a monitor lizard. If you haven't, Google that. Um, and I do think the solution, well, one solution is we need to reach we need to reach our youth. We need to spend more time and effort and money on teaching our youth, because if they would have been raised right, they wouldn't be acting like that, I feel like. And there are times when there are outliers because, you know, you can lead your child any type of way. I mean, I was raised in church and now you damn near got to pay me to go sit in one. But but at the same time, those core values that I was taught, they don't differentiate from, you know, whether it was a religious upbringing or not. So I think we need to spend more time with our youth. And I also think we need to spend more time shaming our friends publicly.
Ooh.
If
Mm.
you know, if you know, because realistically, a lot of us don't feel comfortable talking to the men in our family because they may not understand. If more people sat down and asked their mom and their mom or their aunts or their sisters or their their woman cousins trusted them and they asked them about, you know, the the type of things that happen to them, they would be surprised because it is always, oh, not my homeboy. My homegirl would never do that. So I think we also need to spend more time publicly shaming people for the wrongs that they have done so we can see what is not, like social media does now, what is and is not acceptable, because some things is really just based off of how you were raised. Like I
Mhm.
saw people going off about, oh, y'all cleaning chicken in the sink, and I'm like, my grandmama cleaned the sink before, clean that chicken in the sink, and then clean the sink after. So that's just up for debate. But when it comes to our children or when it comes to the health and safety and
Yeah.
well-being in certain situations, people need to be publicly shamed, because if they were publicly shamed, they would either A, get more crafty about it, and we'll just have more Harvey Weinsteins, and most people don't even have money to pull off that type of thing. So the prevalence of the situations would go down. Or B, they would go try to seek help when they have certain urges or ideals that they have, because they'll know that they'll be shamed for it.
Mm. So meditate, mama. She said accountability. I had to post that up there because I mean that's pretty much what you were
Mm,
talking about. Accountability, right there.
Yes,
mhm,
and it's also very important, I feel, to have boundaries, because on what Mr. Sigma Uno was talking about, when I had to update my Chrome for some reason and I popped back in, when he was talking about how, you need to, heighten your vibration,
Mhm.
because you are going to attract your frequency, and that is very true in more often than not. But you also need to establish firm boundaries within yourself, because darkness is always going to attract to light.
Right.
Facts. That
mm.
right there.
Somebody is always going to see you shining and being great, and then they're going to come in and be like, oh, I can get some light from this person, or this person is kind, and all they're doing is they're draining you. They're energetically a vampire.
Yep.
So having boundaries is also very important, because you can be in your love and light, but darkness is always going to try to come to you. And you have to make peace and be able to recognize that darkness, and you can't let your feelings, allow you to be engulfed in that darkness.
Mr. Impossible. You ready?
Yeah. I had no interaction with the bear and the man this week, so I had no idea that that was like a real thing.
It's
But
okay. I just learned about it myself, and that's why I said I feel like the
God,
real thing is the lack of trust in humanity. That's why I have
it's
lack of
cool. It's
trust in
cool. It's cool.
humanity. Bear versus man.
Do do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Look up the bear esoteric spirituality right quick. The bear esoteric spirituality with the ES, not the XO, ES, esoteric. Look up that right fast while I say this right here. So what I'm hearing and what I'm stating, and I heard it from all three of you all, everyone stated that it's a difference between the man and the beast, the nature within man's ideology or ability to decide what he wants to do, whether it's diabolical, evil, good, benevolent, whatever that side shit is, the motherfucker be doing, whatever that may be. And then there's a nature of things, because as Bianca said, I'm gonna choose that bear because I know the nature of that bear. I know the nature of that bear. We know that way. I don't know what man gonna do, because man got all of these different choices that quote unquote he want to do. What that said?
They are often associated with qualities such as strength, courage, protection, and wisdom. Bears are seen as symbols of fertility and abundance, representing the cycles of life and the connection.
Okay, so the reason why everyone said I'll go with the bear because they understand that their spiritual nature. It's just not a bear. It's understanding the higher consciousness. And Walt said we need to vibe up. Well, that's the vibe that we going to. Back into coming to understanding who we truly are. So when the solution is to be taught those animal totems up. There's a book called "There Are No Totemless Africans." There are no totemless Africans, and
My
it
God,
just it
I love
talk,
you with these books on deck, bro.
huh?
I love you with these books on deck. Every time we turn around,
Hey
you like,
man,
whoop, 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 just
hold,
throwing
hold
books
on,
come right
but
at us, bro. I
you
love it.
you got to have it. You know what I'm saying? That if you're not constantly learning, you know what I'm saying, you're left to humanity in all of its dysfunction. Humanity is tamed by the spirit. The spirit gives understanding to humanity. Humanity can never understand the spirit because it's bogged down in all of its ideas and desires and wants, all of its stimulations. So the fight with the bear and man, to me, just listen to everyone without seeing anything, don't know anything about nothing, but just listen to the outcome. All I'm hearing is everyone is relying on spirit, and they understand that they have to raise themselves to a different aspect between humanity and the bear. So that's what I take from that.
Okay.
Well, what I can say, and I love that you brought spirituality into it because I never thought to even look at the spiritual symbolism of the bear. But the reason that people, because this bear versus man thing has been
Mm-hmm.
going on for the last month on TikTok.
Okay.
Maybe y'all just saw it, but yeah, it's been going on for the
I
last month.
just
And the
found out
reason
about
that
it.
people, yeah, the reason that people are choosing the bear is because males are just dangerous. It really
Okay.
has nothing to do
Okay.
with spirituality. It's really
Huh.
about how dangerous being a female is in
I
society.
Okay.
I wanna give my little take on this.
And
What
also just to let if anybody who's religious, I'm not religious, but God also chose the bear in Proverbs 17:12. God chose the
Mm.
bear. So yeah.
Amen.
Facts.
I will drink some Vita Coco to that. Cheers to
Yeah.
you all.
Proverbs
Amen.
17:12, he chose the bear. Let a man meet a she bear robbed of her cubs, rather a fool in his folly. God chose the bear.
Mm.
More than once.
All right, well, podcast done.
Mm.
But nah,
And
we
I.
here to we gonna talk a lot more than just about the bear and the man. But my take on this, which is gonna roll into the next thing that what I feel once I say this, I want to roll into solutions of what we can do. Because when I was looking at it, listening to the stories of what people were saying about the bear and the man, and how a lot of people were choosing the bear, which I mean, there was even some men who would choose the bear over being around some other men and stuff. And what I got down to is I was like, when it comes down to the essay and things like that, I feel like a lot of that stuff starts off at one. I feel it's because of the fact that a lot of men do not protect the women. And then with that, I'm like, let's get down to the root of it. Where does it all stem from? It kind of stems back into the households, the family. Because a lot of times when people go through SA and all that stuff, it starts with someone that they know who they were growing up with, who's usually in their family. And then, I mean, it sucks to say, but in the melanated community, what ends up happening if something like that happens or is brought up, they end up sweeping under the rug. So therefore, now it's almost as if like the women don't feel that they are be protected from anything that happens along those lines. So therefore, if things are happening like that again later on in life, the women feel that nobody's going to protect them. So therefore, nothing's really ever going to get done. So they don't speak about it. They end up removing themselves in situations like that, and the trauma never really gets healed. So I'm like, I feel rolling into what I feel a solution would be is for more men to be men. Because in this day and age, we have a lot of people who feel that, you know what, it's not my issue. I'm not going to worry about that. I mean, I had a conversation with an individual. He was talking about the whole Drake situation. And he was like, well, that's not my problem. I was like, you got girls. So if Drake decided to mess with your girl, he's like, now it'll be an issue. I was like, so it's okay. I was like, so it's cool when they do it, but it's bad when you do it. I was like, that don't sound right. I was like, so with it, you don't care if somebody else's child is over here getting touched by a freaking 40-some-year-old man, but all of a sudden, if it happens to you, now it's an issue. I was like, no, see, that's the issue. I was like, if we all were to stand together and do what we're supposed to do as men, the protectors that we claim that we are, instead of all of us running around going, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and trying to have women step up and do everything that a man is supposed to be doing, which is if you talk about the masculine energy, I'm like, with that, what is that known for? That's why we hit that earlier before in the podcast. The masculine energy usually goes into the lines with the protector, right? That's one of the things that we do. So now when you have all these women feeling that they need to protect themselves, that they got to still sit there doing double roles, being a protector, a provider, a nurturer, all of that, while a man sits back and tries to have a woman take care of him. I'm like, you wonder why so many women are upset and saying, I don't need a man. Men are not doing the things that will actually make a woman be able to be who she needs to be, to where now she can sit there and nurture and she doesn't have to worry about having to protect herself, have to fight for herself, do all these things that a man should already be doing, whether it is your family or not. Because even when I was in the Marine Corps, we had an NCO creed where it says, I'm an NCO dedicated to training Marines and influence of you, and I'm forever conscious Marine under my charge. It does not say I am conscious of the Marines that are in my platoon or in my battery. If I saw another Marine, I saw they were effed up, I would correct them, whether I am in charge of you or not, because that was the brotherhood. And I mean, even when it comes down to it, we should have that brotherhood to where we're protecting our women. So we wouldn't have to have conversations like this. So I mean, if you see something happen in your family, you need to step up and say something. Don't try and brush nothing up under the rug, you know? So I feel like when it comes down to it, we as men need to do exactly what we're supposed to be doing, being men. Go
But
ahead.
what I question about that though
Yes, ma'am.
is what I question about that is what exactly being a man is.
It's protect.
Because and the reason no, I understand the
Mhm.
necessary tenets of what being a man is, but the thing is I don't think on a broader spectrum a lot of males understand what being a man is. And I think that that's very important. Like Mr. Sigma Uno, he works with the youth. So he's able to not only preach it but show how he's being a man. He's not running these streets. He has a wife. He's taking care of his business. He doesn't
Mhm.
have multiple millions of baby mamas bounced all around. But see, there's a lot that's feeding, there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of TikTok, Instagram, all these different outlets that are feeding males what it is to be a man. And see, the men that are actually on healthy aspects of masculinity, they just be like, look, I gotta take care of my family. I ain't got the time. I ain't got the energy. And that's realistic. They don't. Because like I said, I'm cosplaying as being an adult. I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea. So, and I know it can be difficult, but we need to, that what is a man? What is being masculine? What are the tenets outside of I'm strong and you my woman and I said I'm gonna
Um,
protect you and I'm gonna give you
you,
money
you,
for you to be
you,
home? Like what is being a man
I'm
aside from that?
gonna say one thing, and I know Mrs. Sigma Uno wants to say something. I was talking to my mom earlier, and she brought up, she was like, community. And with that, and Mr. Impossible, he dropped that a few times on previously. He said community. Mr. Sigma Uno has dropped community. In order for us to really go through and do things, we have to give back to the community, because the community is how we ultimately end up making a change, I feel. Because it starts in the household, but at the same time, if you're going to lead by example, you need to do that as well in the community, because you have you have women who don't have mothers, you have men who don't have fathers, and vice versa. So I'm like, when it comes down to it, you can reach those who do not have that leadership. So with all these other people who are saying that, other men who are living that life and doing the example in their household, I'm like, yo, you need to get back to the community, my guy. Um,
So,
she said, I believe it's important for every person on this planet to take responsibility and accountability for themselves. Men absolutely need to hold themselves and one another accountable. Women also need to hold themselves accountable for accepting and allowing certain types of behaviors in their homes and around the auras. Woo-hoo, Mr. Sigma Uno, I'm tapping you in.
Woo, I'm gonna follow that because I agree with those statements, but I'm gonna go a step farther in that because a lot of things happen in households and in families because women take into account the action that it takes to react to whatever transpires.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that is, I come from a large family, and for a very long time, I was the only girl. Okay, some very jacked up stuff happened, right? So there are, let's use a round number. There's 20 of us. Okay, out of the 20, I'm the only girl. Out of that 20 or 19, shall we say, I think there might be one or two that I can have a discussion and say, this jacked up happened, and it be taken care of in a diplomatic way in which the other 16 of them won't end up in jail. Okay?
Okay.
So when things happen in a family and in a household, when you know the temperament or you know the personality, you know that the men in your family are protectors, you don't have to, by all means, you don't have to. But in my instance, is it worth 16 of them going to jail over this one person? It's not worth it. Was the action right? No, not at all. But that's where I have to go in and say, okay, this happened. I'm going to tell the important people who can hold water in a cup so they know why I'm moving in the manner that I'm moving, that this is what transpired. This is the moves that I'm making with regards to that. So that everybody in my circle, in my community, stay safe so they can protect their own and the next person and be flourishing and meet their goals and destination. Otherwise, the action that happened to me can cut off a whole family, a whole generation of males.
Mm-hmm.
Just in my names, with, you know what I'm saying? That will no longer be able to affect the community, will no longer be able to affect their children in a positive manner, will no longer be able to have jobs because now they've got felonies for, you know what I'm saying? I get in jail. All kinds of stuff can happen behind one person. Now, something does have to happen, but you've got to know how to maneuver around and work that in order to make sure that your family stays solid.
Goodness.
Catch your breath.
To what you said with regards to SA and all this encompasses everything that I've just heard. Women aren't the only one that suffer that. Men
Yes.
suffer that as well. Boys suffer that as well. And the unanswer to it, the no answer to it makes you feel like, okay, this is the right thing to do. As children, your body responds before your brain does. And some adults that mess with children know that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now you created this thing in this child that believes that this is an action that he should always take. And that is a domino effect. So now instead of it being told and corrected, it's being transferred to another child and to another child, and before you know it, it's completely out of control. But you have adults that don't say anything at all. They sweep under the carpet. When that happens, you've implanted in the mind of this child that it was okay for that to happen. So what is he going to do? He's going to go out and do the same thing himself. You also have adults that send the wrong messages to young men. I've sat in a group of older men that use language like it's a sorry man that don't have more than one hole a sorry man that doesn't have more than one hole to crawl in. And when I asked what that meant, you need to have more than one woman. That's a message that an old man sent to a young man. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So all these things that are bouncing around my head, in addition to now I have to work, and is this solid information? Do I believe what he's saying? Should I do it? My dad was solid for me. 100% solid. He didn't go for no BS at all. My dad was the one who saved me when my family members were messing with me.
Mm-hmm.
He saw it, he corrected it, he made her touch every wall in that house. And for her to know, don't touch my son anymore. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this ain't right. So I've been that same type of defensive person ever since. You don't mess around with kids. You don't mess with nobody. You don't force anyone to do something that they don't want to do.
Yes.
That's been instilled in me. You see what I'm saying? And my dad did that. There are some boys that don't have fathers. That's the role that I try to play. I never say father. I never say this is a man, because people make mistakes. And they have to understand, this is the life that I live. This is the life that I've been living. I want to change it. How do I change it? Because it's got me into so much trouble. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. And it gets to a point to where it's so wild that because they saw it on a video, they go do it. They go rob a place. They go and they turn around and one of the young people did a home invasion. He saw it on a YouTube. It was failed for the person he saw on YouTube, and it was failed for him. But these are messages that are being sent. And if you have an undeveloped mind, you can expect it to get worse because it's feeding into their brain. And if there's no correction, nobody gets on and says, hey, this is the consequence to what may happen. They're not listening to that, first of all. And if they don't see the consequence in front of them, they're going to try to do it. And it's unfortunate because it's feeding more from social media
Mm-hmm.
than it is a parent sitting down having a conversation with you. So it's every time, if I can follow social media with my son and see all the things and try to correct all the things, we'd be exhausted. We won't get anything else done. So
True.
if he can't, if I'm monitoring his phone and I see, okay, you wouldn't watch this. What was the reason why you watched that? This is the possible outcome. It's hard to do, but it's that's the only way to begin to manage anything like that. This bear versus man is not going to go away anytime soon because there is it's like there's no net for this. There's no net saying let's reel it all in and make it better. You can't do that because it's too far out there. This is from country to country. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are all the wrong messages sent from country to country. This is why social media is horrible when it comes to these type of things. There's no cause and effects signal for it. There's no this is what happens when this. Remember the commercial where it said this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
I just saw the scary movie too with Beetlejuice where they're like, "This is your brain on drugs."
That's the thing. It stop and made you think about taking drugs because man, I don't my brain.
Yeah.
But there's no cause and effect. There's no show cause and effect at all, unless you see it on the news. Oh, that's the person that did that. Oh, he either dies or he's put in prison for a life sentence. But it takes so long for an answer to come, and by that time, 10 or 15 more people could have done the same thing because they saw that person do it or was planted in their brain to do. And that's the part that aches and that's the part that pains me so much because social media is there's no net for it.
Mhm.
There's no way to reel it in. I heard that the government is trying to put some parameters around it. It's too late. They should have started this when social media began. There's no way that they can rein any of this in. It's too late. It's too far out. You see what I'm saying? And we can only do it on an individual basis and hope we get enough people to begin to think for themselves and not from the media and to live a life according to that and not from some idea that was planted in your brain. And it's hard. It's harder for these generations now. It wasn't hard for us because we have parents. My dad was in my face. Until I was 13, he was in my face.
Mhm.
My mom was in my face. My grandmother was in my face. Now the other men on my mom's side of the family were the worst. They loved the drugs. They loved the crime and all the rest of the stuff. It was nothing that I wanted to be attached to because the father said that's no good for you. This is where you're going to end up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it pains me to watch all of this because these are beautiful minds that are being destroyed. They're being destroyed little by little. I'm glad I'm the catchment in some type of area when it comes to young people because we can have that conversation. I have so much to say, but I know we have to move forward. But this is a touchy subject for me.
I agree. It's a little touchy for me as well from things that I've seen and been through in life also. And I
Can I speak on that right quick when we talking about what real men and all the things that everyone has alluded to,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, tonight. I agree with everybody. Because the fact that we don't teach how to be a man from our home, because you got to understand that most men today don't know how to be a man.
Right.
So we're expecting something out of them for something that they don't even know. And and no disrespect to anyone's lifestyle, but you have some men that teach their children how to be in gangs when they're 2 years old.
Mm.
They're punching them. They're punching them and preparing them to be in gangs. And I don't have any problem with showing weapons to our children because my grandkids they know me to carry a weapon since they was fucking born. So when they came out and they saw a weapon, I told them what it was. I took it apart. I told them, look, don't play with this. This is not what you do. Da. But it wasn't something that was glorified.
Yes.
It was only about protection. But we have states where we're not teaching principles and what it is to be in that divine state of a man. What your roles are, your duties are. The same thing for women. We don't have women that are teaching the roles of what women play, because now women are everything. And then when it comes to her own nature, she got a problem with it. And men want to be everything. When it comes to his nature, he don't know. Because now we got to balance out. And I say this last thing, ladies, be careful that you want a man that's so sensible and want to be all in his feelings. 'Cause ain't no lying in that motherfucker. You
Yeah.
you
You know,
can't you can't tame a lion, and then when shit happens, you want him to goddamn turn that shit on. That shit's always inside of us all the time. Like
Yes.
you can't just goddamn turn that shit off and be like, oh, you know what? We are loving, we are understanding, we are there for you whenever you need. We are there, my queens, my goddesses, we are there. But please, whatever you do, do not tell a man he need to be more sensible. He need to be more in his feelings. You're trying to tame a motherfucker. Let that man be. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Let
Yes.
that
Yes.
man be.
Yes. Yes.
Please,
I'm gonna let it be like that. So that's all I wanted to say
please.
on that. We just ain't taught. We ain't taught properly. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm not gonna
We
say
got
the
a
gentleman's
rebuttal.
name, but
We have a
the
rebuttal.
gentleman that taught. Oh man, the gentleman that taught me.
We got a rebuttal. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yes, we
rebuttal.
Okay.
do.
Come on with it.
Yes,
Come on with it.
yes,
Hold on. All right. Mr. Sigma Uno said
yes,
let Queenie go first.
yes, we do
Yeah,
have a
come on with
rebuttal.
it. Come on.
Because now there's nothing wrong. Okay. The point of everything is balance.
Mm.
Uh
So
huh.
I understand the necessity of the female role versus the male role. But me telling my man or me wanting men in general to be more sensitive, to be more in touch with their feelings, to be able to regulate their emotions, that is very, very important. And the reason that it is
Mm-hmm.
important is because our men are dying on the inside. And then we have to bear the brunt on the outside. And then, even if he's not violent, even if he doesn't project his feelings, he's rotting from the inside.
Hmm.
Cardiovascular issues is so prevalent amongst the males in our community. I mean, 50, boom, he
Kevin
gone.
Samuels.
They don't take care of themselves. They don't know how to be like, oh, well, you know what? Because once you're able to regulate your emotions, you know how to get through them. You know how to feel them. You know how to, you know, have them expressed in a healthy way.
Hmm.
But to sit here and say that we shouldn't be telling our men to be more sensitive or be more in touch with their emotions, I don't think that's a good thing. I'm not saying be
Now
a
hold
pansy.
on.
I'm not
Time
saying
out.
be a soy
Hold on,
boy.
hold on,
I'm
hold on,
not
hold
saying
on.
be a
Let her finish.
pansy.
I think I know where you're going, Impossible. Let her finish real quick.
I'm not saying be a pansy. I'm not saying be a soy boy. But we do have to be careful. Like you may as an individual teach your son, you know, you have to be strong. When it gets hard, you have to keep pushing through because I also think that's a big problem with males today. Like there should be no reason you are 6 foot, 240 pounds, and you look like pure muscle, but when it hurts, you stop. But sir, how did you even get to that height and that width? You put in work. Why
Cornbread and
why are you
potatoes.
like why are you sad now? Like, what's the problem? But I do think we do need to perpetuate going to therapy, having a community of men, like more Mr. Sigma Unos in these various communities. Because if you don't want to talk to a woman about your feelings, so you don't feel a certain way, there needs to be men there that they can confide in healthily, though. Because they confide in their homeboys, and their homeboys are also telling them, "Oh, well, she ain't gonna respect you if you cry. She ain't gonna respect you if you be telling her you don't feel good." Like that's not good for our men.
Mm-mm.
So be careful with the perpetuation and when you say things like not telling them be careful, telling them to be more sensitive and stuff like map that out because a lot of men will take that and run with that and be like, yeah, because you can't be telling me because it's in me. I have to be a lion. I can cuddle and I can be cute and I can also slit your throat if you play with me. And I'm not a man. Because as a woman in society, it was just bred in us in society how to regulate our emotions from the very beginning. Because I'm the angry black woman, or oh, it's my time of the month. So I have to be
Mrs.
careful. It's
You,
put into
possible.
society for me to be careful how I move. So we
I,
had a head start, but please be careful telling our men that, because I want my man to be able to express his emotions and be able to cry if he need to. I don't want him rotting from the inside. What am I there for? What is my purpose if he can't even like be soft with me
But,
because of what he was
before I
taught?
even before I respond to you, Miss Sigma Uno, could you go first? Because I want to make sure that I hear
thank
all of
you.
that first.
Thank you,
You know
Impossible.
what I'm saying? But
I was going
Miss
to ask you,
Queenie,
I was going to ask you if you
I'm
were
definitely
offended
going to
and
come
let her
back.
go. Real
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm definitely going to
Respect.
come back and respond definitely to what you just said. And I definitely receive you perfectly, Queen. I definitely receive you.
Mhm. And I think I know exactly what you want to say, Impossible. But go ahead, Mrs. Sigmuno.
I agree with everything that she said, but it also goes back to home training. You have to have, if it's not your mom, your sister, your auntie, your somebody to provide the space for you to be soft, to be hurt, to be able to vocalize what it is that's going on with you, good, bad, and different, to be vulnerable with, to be soft with. You can call them mama's what you mind you that has come a negative time.
Yeah.
It has to come because some take it entirely too far, but that's our job. When taught properly, when given the proper tools at home with your husband, your prospect, your fiance, your whatever you got planned for yourself, if that person is in your life and is fulfilling that role,
Mhm.
you should be able, let's back up. If you cannot trust that person enough to be vulnerable enough with them, to vocalize what's going on with you with that person, that's not your person and you need to move on. Because you can't be strong 24/7. You, like you said, you're going to kill yourself. You have to be able to stop and pause and breathe somewhere. Somewhere. Now, you can come to me like a lion if you want to. You can. But by the time we done, you're going to be the little lamb and we're going to be tucked up somewhere. Whatever it takes. But you're not going to, that's not how I was raised. That is not the role that I feel. But just know that as long as you cultivate that relationship with that person, it shouldn't be a problem to come in like a lion and sleep like a lamb. It shouldn't be a problem. Laura, go ahead. It's impossible.
Oh,
Mr. over here acting.
Hey, Liz. Now, I never said that the black man had to submerge or put away his feelings, or he couldn't talk about his feelings. I never stated that he could not express himself. I never said that he should not cry. I don't teach that. I don't subscribe to that. You know, I don't teach that you want to keep all of your emotion inside as a black man. What I stated was when you want a man that's so sensitive all the time and you want him to be so sensitive, then at any crack of the time you want that line to come about. That's a fine line. As you stated earlier, Queen, you talked about the balance. So yes, I am a person that meditates. I am a person that yogas. I'm a person that exercise. I run. You know, I eat a certain type of way. I like to cheat at times. I like to cheat like a mug. But when I don't cheat, I want to take care of myself because I understand my mind spirit. So I've never neglected the fact that a man should not feel. I don't have a problem with crying. I've cried in front of women that I've been with. I've cried in front of my family, my kids. The first time my grandson saw me cry, I was in meditation and he asked me, he said, "Papa, you all right?" I said, yeah, just some things that came to me and it just felt really good. And it just brought me to tears. He's like, wow, I just never saw you cry before. And I said, you know what? It's all right to cry. And I said, if you ever angry and you ever got a problem, let me know that you're angry. Never act like you're not angry. So right now to this day, if my grandson, he's 7 years old, his name Naru, if he mad, he gonna tell you he mad. Cause I don't make him say, hey, you ain't mad. You all right. Be strong. Yeah, I tell
Yep.
him he a strong black prince. I do tell him that. That's his recital. That's his affirmations every night. I'm a strong black prince. I do not fear nothing greater than the God in me. That's why I teach my grandson every single night. So I'm not telling them to not. I'm saying when that thing is inside of us, you have to be cautious of how much you want the emotional side because we're not able to be so emotional. We can share emotion. We can go through it. We can tell you how much we love you. We're gonna show you how much we love you. We might can't even say how much we love you. We can fucking show you. We'll fucking break our goddamn backs to show you how much we love you. So that no, I'm not saying to perpetuate the idea of a man not being able to feel, a man not being able to express himself, or a man not being able to share how he really feels in a relationship without him being condemned to how he feels about being soft or what the case may be. So that's all I was saying, ladies. It wasn't it wasn't shutting down the man where he couldn't feel no more because that's crazy.
But they haven't had, most of them don't have that space either. They don't
That's
have
what
it.
that's
Say
what
that
I
again.
said. That's what I'm saying.
So,
Nobody's been taught to feel that.
so when I think of all of this, I think of martial arts
Hey, that's my
because
eye.
martial arts teaches you respect, honor, and control. Right? It don't mean that the line ain't there, but you're supposed to be wise about the choices you make when you do let it go. You see what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm just this beast all of the time. It's when I see a
Right.
situation and I have to think about it first. If I engage in this, this is going to get ugly. So yeah, he's in there. It's in there. And if you get close enough to me, you're going to find out. You see what I'm saying? But not all the time. I always say my household is my sanctuary. I can relax.
Mm-hmm.
I can lay back. I can enjoy the company of my family. I can eat. I can watch TV. I can laugh. I can be me. I can relax. When I hit that doorway to go deal with somebody on the outside, that's when my whole body tenses up and my mind changes because I have to be vigilant. I got to know exactly what's going on around me 100% during the whole day. And when I get to the door to go home, it's time to relax. I ain't got to yell at nobody. I ain't got to fight no more. I'm at home. I know things are different. So I don't have to be off the cuff or irrational. And in the world, I don't have to be it all the time. It's speaking to people in a specific way will help them understand where you're coming from. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not all the time yelling or hitting your fists against anything or posturing. This is who I am. This is what I'm saying. You either respect it or you don't. It's called assertiveness. The 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 message that are sent to young boys that don't have that. It's about the gang life. It's about proving yourself. It's about I shot this person or I beat somebody up. It's about proving myself. But that's people that they're hanging around, and that's been happening for years. It works for some, and it doesn't work for others. It shouldn't be anyway because those institutions were created for the support and the protection of community, and it turned into a war against each other. If you look at the history of it, that's what it was for. The Crips and the Bloods and the Peastone Bloods and the Black Panthers, they were all had the same mindset. We're going to protect our community.
Yep.
That's what it was all about.
And
It
you
wasn't
formed the
about
projects.
anger. It wasn't about discord until drugs got involved, until selling drugs to make money got involved. And then it became a territorial thing. It's not that way. and you don't have to be that way all the time. And again, and it's also who you're with. Because I was with somebody before Miss Sigma Uno, and I was on guard 90% of the time because we didn't have a good relationship. And I had to be on guard when I left, I had to be on guard when I came home. Because it was this ugly thing between us. So being with the right person that understands you and you understand them, and you have this, again, we have this silent communication, sometimes more times verbal, but it never gets above the way I'm talking now. It's a conversation. If it has to get above that, then you're dispensing your energy in the wrong direction. Now you got to think twice about the decision that you made. But it's not about this anger. And again, it shows in social media this way. So we anticipate that this is the way for all black men. It is not the way this way for all black men. And sometimes some kids learn later, or some kids learn early. Like we are talking about a young man that I met some months ago, and his mannerisms as a young man, and his maturity as a young man, it made it seem to me like he was a lot older than he was.
Mm.
He grasped life and understood what he had to do to make sure that he was taken care of and the person he chose to be with was taken care of. Sometimes we get it and it's innate, and that's what we forget. When animals in the world of animals, it's innate. What they do, if they hunt wildebeest, they're gonna hunt wildebeest. That's just what they do. It's not all the time to feed my family. So there's something like that inside of men, even when they're boys. I watch my grandson run around, and I'm like, this will to fight or to kick or punch. We can't expel that. We can say, hey, don't kick right now. We can get you in the dojo and let him kick all he wants because he's going to learn. There's a level to this. There's a respect to this. You just don't kick your family members, the people you love. But is it necessary? Yes, it is. It's necessary for when he meets an adversary or somebody creates him to be an adversary for them out of nowhere. It all happens. But it's not a thing that it's supposed to happen all the time. I don't go pouncing on people because there's a consequence to that. You see what I'm saying?
Please don't. That would be traumatic.
No, seriously, it's a cause and effect thing.
Yes.
And people do that. People on drugs do that. I watched it happen. I lived in that type of neighborhood, and it just could happen in a moment's notice. You see what I'm saying? Because, and for me again, I thank God that my dad was who he was because I learned this. The mannerism he has, I have the same. I see the same in my son, but there's still some work to be done. You see what I'm saying? But it's not all that way. It's not that way with all men. It isn't. And the ones that it is, they need a hug.
Boom.
They need a hug because they can't find love nowhere. It's painful to be that way. I've been there. Again, I've been there. I've been in that state of mind where everywhere I turn, is somebody going to jump on me? Somebody going to do something? I carry the gun. And you have to think real hard not to pull and shoot somebody in a neighborhood like that because somebody's always coming for you. So it's painful. They need a hug. They really do. They need a hug and they need to say, hey, calm down, bro. It's fight or flight. That's the mentality. It's cortisol. It's fight or flight. And I got to do what I got to do, take care of myself. I'm in hustle mode. That's what they call it. I'm in hustle mode. I'm here to get my paper. You're going to get the way to get my paper and kill you.
Exactly impossible.
That's exactly what goes down. You see what I'm saying? But anyways, I just
Impossible.
wanted to say that because the image of this always flows in social media as if this is the way it is for men. It ain't that way. It's not. It isn't. And I'm a loving, caring person. I love my kids. I restrain myself to talk to my sons, even though I want to go upside their head sometimes. But I restrain myself because I got to understand it's a person. He's going through something emotional. There's something happening in his mind. There's something happening in their body. There's an adjustment happening in their life. So let's understand that and find out what we can do to help him help himself or help her help herself. So that's kind of all I wanted to say. For me, that's solution. So I'm sorry.
Impossible.
Well, oh,
Impossible stated that fatherless pain. I wanted to move into the next topic:
mm,
mental health in the melanated community. I feel like this is something that is big,
mm,
that deals with us. because it seems like a lot of us do not want to seek the help based off of what how we look at mental health in our community.
Ooh, that's loaded. That's a loaded pistol.
I mean, let's play Russian roulette then.
But that, I mean, it's not that they don't want to; it's that they can't. It's when you realize you can't trust them.
Not to cut you off on this one, but that is your background, so I'm gonna have you go last on this one. Um, who wants to go first? Because I got like three stares at me right now, like I got a dick on my forehead.
What?
One of the ladies can go.
What?
Queenie was like, "Wait, what?" All right, well, Queenie, you volunteered. You said something first.
Because I spoke. Okay.
Yep. So, mental health in the melanated community. What could be a solution to get more of us to change this negative idea we have with mental health? Because I feel, and from talking to a lot of other individuals of our, oftentimes when it comes down to mental health, they look at it and they talk about it as if that makes them weak, as if they don't need that, and things along those lines. Let me hear your take on that.
Um, okay.
Here we go.
So, okay. Well, no, because I mean, women are going to therapy.
Hmm.
Women are going to therapy.
But I'm
Women,
talking about the community as a whole, not just women.
well, see, okay,
Let's hit both
in some,
sides.
okay, so in some places, um, there is a resource issue
Hmm.
because and it's not only that there's just strictly a mental health practitioner availability issue.
Yes.
uh there is a, when I say a resource issue, because one thing that is very important from what for in mental health, from what I've learned,
Hmm.
while that is a professional, you need I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but like you need somebody who understands you. And
Black person.
there aren't, oh my god. Okay, I mean, we talk about black people, so okay, whatever. So basically, it's, there are not enough nigga professionals in mental health. It's just not. Okay, there are not enough niggas in mental health.
She
There's
did
not
it.
enough niggas. That's what it is. It's not enough niggas in mental health. It's women who are going to be practitioners, and we
Mhm.
need more male. We need more black male practitioners. The black male therapists that I follow on TikTok, they are so booked. They don't even have space for
Mm.
anybody else, because there are men who want to seek mental health treatment, but he not finna go talk to fucking Cody,
No.
because Cody is not going to understand certain things about his experience.
Exactly.
He's just not. And when you have, because even when I go, when I've like the various therapists that I've had, I
Hmm.
told them, look, I understand the DSM-5. So I could do your job. I just don't have the license. So I need you to be here with me. I need you to understand that I can do your job. I can diagnose myself, but I'm
Anything
not
you can do, I can
licensed.
do that.
So no, it's not that, because what it is a lot of therapists, they will feed you really cookie cutter things, and they don't really have an understanding of who you are as a person. Or
Hmm.
and it's like, baby, this form of CBT is not going to work for me. Cognitive behavioral therapy, this form of CBT is not going to work for me, so we're going to have to find something else. I'm sorry, but taking 10 breaths is not going to do anything for
Mm.
me. Okay, I need the 369 method. I need to write it, thank it, and then move my body. But you
Come on with
Yes.
like that is what I have to do. So we don't have the resources in our community that is
it.
available to be able to go to somebody and tell somebody your deepest and darkest. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit in front of Samantha. I, even with my therapist, when I sign up, I'll be like, look, I need you very, first of all, very base a woman. I'm not talking to no man, because he's not going to look at me as a human more often than not in the first place.
Hmm.
Mm.
Most men look at women as things. So
Mm.
I don't even want to talk to you. And I have a friend who's a licensed therapist, and I can still tell, even speaking to him, he does not look at women on even footing. He doesn't. He loves me, will protect me, will help me if I needed it, but he does not look at me on
Mm.
even footing. And I can just tell that in some of his verbiage. So one, they have to be a
Ah.
woman. Two, they got to be a person of color. I'm not
Hmm.
going to
Mm.
Ivanka. I'm not going to Samantha.
That's real.
I'm not doing it because a person of color, whether they are Hispanic, Black, or Asian, I'll have a better chance of them understanding where I come from when I say I feel like this person was microaggressive to me. I'm trying to figure it out, but I also want to punch her in her shit. She won't understand that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tanisha's going to understand that. So we don't have the resources. We don't have our men wanting to go become therapists, wanting to go become clinical social workers. We have many of our men that's doing the work for themselves and their families. Some are getting community organizations, but a lot of our men don't even know the bank that could be made in nonprofits because they don't want
Oh,
to sit and read and do the paperwork. You literally can get money from the government to get an organization together just to hand out money to kids in your community and get paid on yourself. But
Well,
they don't want to do it. They're too concerned about the image of, I got to get this money. Because if I get this money, I get these bitches and I get respect. And
Mm.
we don't have enough of our own men going back and saying, brother, let me come get you and teach you to tell me when you're angry. Tell me when you need to cry. Tell me these things. Because being a man, because as a woman, having to go out and fight the battles in the world, I was made to dilly
Good.
dally. I don't want to be a man. It's
so
not for me. It's not for me. I don't want it. I have to go fight battles outside. I understand what it's like to be a man because I gotta go outside. Like Mr. Sigma Uno said, I gotta be on the head on the swivel 100% of the time. Always worried. I am the weaker of the two, so I always got to be able to protect myself and do all this stuff. If we need more of our men getting into mental health. Oh, and impossible. The point was not thinking you were preaching toxicity to men. I get it's because I lacked the brevity and clarity in what I said because it was just like, don't do this, don't say this because I just get so tired of it. So I lacked emotional regulation that moment because I didn't need to talk for 4 minutes. But I did put in there that you have to be careful what you say because one of the things I said specifically was men will take that clip and then they'll run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I see it on
Agreed.
TikTok all the time. So you really have to be careful. I try to be very careful with what I say when I'm speaking to men about their mental health. Because you see, before
Mm-hmm.
I tried to come in with all the correct terms and everything and try to because they'll
Can be
take
too.
it and they'll just run. They'll just run with it. Like, oh, we don't need to share our feelings. It's like, oh
Who
God,
you
no,
want?
no, no. So yeah, but
Hi.
we need more men. We
How you
need more Mr.
doing?
Sigma Unos. We need more. That's basically it. We need more Mr. Sigma Unos
Hey,
out in the
you, I
world
wa-
doing it.
when this is over, I would like to have a conversation with you and Mrs. Sigma Uno and Mrs. Sigma Uno after this show is over. I'd like to have a quick 5-10 minute conversation after the show over.
well, I don't want to talk to you either. Dang.
Well, hold on,
Now
hold on.
you
That's
can
not
talk
your
to me.
that's not your expertise. That's not your expertise. I'm talking to the experts right now, and I'll deal with you later on. But I'm talking to
The
those
mental.
who
You talking about the mental health
understand.
part? Oh, you have no idea what I know on that part. I grew up reading my mom's
Okay,
books.
cool.
Speaking of it,
That's 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 great.
let me
Go
add my mom into this mix real quick because she actually tapped
go.
in. So
Yes,
that
mom first.
let me ask if she. Okay, first of all, you driving?
No, your dad is.
My dad? Oh, okay. I was like, my dad? You so you so messy. You so messy.
No,
Anyway,
you so messy. Anywho, talking about mental
yes,
health. What's
we're
really
talking about
going on
mental
here?
health in the melanated community. How mental health in the melanated community is, and the solutions that we can have to fix that stigma.
Mm. So
Because
you're asking me what is my opinion on that?
well, yes, ma'am.
I think first of all we need to change the way we think. For so long it was believed that you were weak if you needed to speak with someone. Keep your feelings to yourself or whatever. You got to change that on how you feel and realize, you know what, I need some help. And it helps a lot to actually just let that stuff go. So you got to change individually change the stigma behind the belief.
Hmm. And
Mm.
and
Agreed.
what
Agreed.
do you feel are some ways that we can change?
Um, Eric and I took a trip a couple weeks ago, and we met this young man. He's actually younger than you are, and he says something that I will not forget. He says sometimes you got to come out of the chat or leave the chat group chat, or okay, leave the group chat or whatever. But the premise behind that is you have to change who you're hanging out with, because 9 out of 10 times their belief system is not conducive to a change for you, not for a betterment. So you got to get away from others and get away from the pessimism and get towards the optimism, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Got to be somebody in your boat that's going to push you to do better instead of holding you right where you are. You need to be released from your environment. How's that?
Hmm.
Reach.
Who is that? No, yeah, just seriously. If we talk about change, but change is an individual thing. It comes from within. It comes from within. And yes, we need motivation, but if you really want to change, your belief system is something you have to work on and be honest with yourself. My thinking is flawed. And I'm quite sure if it's flawed,
Mm.
someone has told you, man, you need to rethink that. Or, people are speaking, but you just got to listen.
Mm.
You just have to listen. So
Okay.
change comes from within.
Facts, 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 facts,
Hmm. Hmm.
facts, facts. Yes, yes, yes. I forgot the order. Who we started with Queenie.
Miss Sigmuno.
Mr. Sigmuno's going last, so we'll have Mr.
I say
Sigmuno.
Miss Sigmuno. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, no, he's going last. He's going to last on that one.
Piggyback on Queen because commercial young man. If you are the one in your group that has your stuff together and you want to make money and help your community and get the quality woman, okay, go ahead and start with peer counseling. It doesn't have to be somebody in your neighborhood, because more than likely the person in your neighborhood doesn't want their business spread in their neighborhood. Go to the next neighborhood. Peer counsel somebody in the next neighborhood. Get your certifications and your license. And again, you will make the money because you are few and far between. You are a field in demand. Make your money, get your woman, get your degree, make it happen. What was that, a Brian commercial? You're sitting on your couch anyway.
You're sitting on your couch.
Oh my gosh. All right, Mr. Impossible, what you got?
Um, we need to get back to teaching our youth from ground level, from birth. We need to teach them with the right principles and how to understand their own emotions, how to deal with their own emotions as young men, how to set them in the right principles that moving forth they grow up to be the strong men that they desire to be, and be able to deal with their mental health. We're not we as black men, we want our youth to understand something that we didn't. And that's a
Mhm.
dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing because now when we come into our understanding, we overbearing them with something and they're 10 years old now. Now you're teaching mental health. But what happened when you understand mental health and you understand and you can see it from a child, from when you're 2 years old, when you can speak your truth at 4 years old and not get in trouble? Shut your damn mouth. You a damn child. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you're training them with that fear instead of allowing them to be a child. Let them be free. Let them feel. Let them figure out what it is, and when they feel what it is, because like my youngest grandson, if he fall, he'll look back at me first because he want to see my reaction. If I don't react and I laugh, you all right? He'll laugh and he'll get up.
Yep.
But if I come, oh my God, you okay? You okay? He gonna cry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all about how you train. Now I know he ain't fall like fall. He didn't do nothing. He just was running and he fell. But it's just how you teach, how we are teaching. We have to go back to principles like the Hermetic principle, the Kabbalion principles that are life living ways. We have to not negate. We want our men to live a way, but they don't got the principles and the ways. They have to learn the principles and the ways. Without those things, Mr. Sigma Uno said twice tonight, and everything he said, my dad taught me, my dad taught me, my dad taught me. You got to understand the significance of that. Because my dad didn't teach me shit. I ain't know that nigga. But I did have to make a decision about how I'm going to change my life when it comes to my emotion. Because I was a one that thought about suicide. I did put the gun to my head. So I know what it is. So I know if I was taught as a child to respect myself, to love myself, to have certain principles of how to deal with my mind, my own emotion and feeling, yeah, it would have been different. But when you're not taught that and you're 20 some years old and you got all these things happening in your head and you just raging inside, yeah, that's difficult. So the solution is simple. Teach our youth when they're young and stop teaching them how to be a man when they a man. That's hard to do. Hard to do.
Mr. Sigma,
Hard to do.
you have the floor.
In consideration of what everybody said, I mean, that's the basis of what it's the basis of what I understand. The hard part is we talked about this before, Mr. Impossible and Denley. We talked about what do you say when a person asks you a specific question, or what do you say a person is standing in front of you that has a need? My remembrance of being together with my family drives me to want that for everybody around me. Yes, my folks was completely dysfunctional, but my aunts, my grandmother, my grandaunts all had this rule: you don't bring no mess to my house, and we perpetuated that in the streets. Don't come in front of my aunt's house with that bullshit. Go somewhere else with it. We protected them in that sense. And I'm coming from this direction because it starts with it's the community thing. We didn't want if we were out there doing something stupid. First of all, we didn't want my auntie and my grandmother to know about it at all. Period. They give you an ultimatum. You want to die? I will kill you. I can do that right now. But we didn't want what we were doing in front of them at all because it's a sense of disrespect. You see what I'm saying? But the most effective time that I ever had with people was sitting down in a situation where we were either eating or a traumatic experience that just happened. Somebody died that we all knew, and it was a chance where everybody's heart was open and everybody's mind was open, and they had a million and one questions. And we started talking about it, and we actually listened to people when they were talking. There was no conflict. And it all started from us sitting down and having something to eat. It was maybe the end of the day, or maybe the middle of the day at a park, and everybody constructed this conversation. I listen. That's what I do. A large part of my job is to listen and hear. But to get people together, and I'm saying this because I can't think about just one mind and forget about the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? It has to be if I can impact for maybe 1 or 2 hours a group of young men, a group of young ladies, we can sit down and have this conversation that when you walk away, all you think about is that conversation. The next time you pass that person, remember when we talked about this? That's planning the idea. That's planning to believe that, yeah, he's right. We are powerful. We are more powerful together. And it may last it'll last for as long as you cultivate it. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just that moment. When are we going to have the next barbecue? That's the question. When are we going to come together again like this? That's the question. So now we're coming together again more frequently and we're having more conversations. It starts with, that's the basis of love. Feeding someone, asking them if they're okay. It's not drilling anyone and putting together a cookie cutter idea and say this is where you fit. No, it's helping them realize you're unique. You are you. There's no other you. You love and respect your mom. Love and respect your family. I saw what you did over there. Don't disrespect your mom. Go apologize to your mom. She does a lot for you. And these are general conversations and a group of people. And that is what I find to be the most effective because we're down, we're where they're at. It ain't no, oh, bring me to this office where it's clean and you got things on the wall and we're going to have this conversation. No, I'm where you're at. And we're having this conversation. We're eating, we're talking. You're feeling this love. They're not going to call it that, but they are feeling it. And that's why they ask, when are we going to do this again? And those are the type of groups that I lead for where I work. It's virtual, but everybody keeps coming together because when we coming together again, that was a good conversation. What we going to talk about next time? And the people that I work with don't understand it. They don't like it, first of all, and then they don't understand it. Why are you getting these many people? Don't they do things a certain time of year? No, your counseling is based on a certain time of year.
Thank
This is
you.
year round. Our folks need this. And they found what they needed in the conversation that we're having, especially when COVID was going on. When George Floyd happened, and Mount Aubrey, Breonna Taylor, all these people were dying. They were like, they look like me. What am I going to do? I'm out here doing bad already. What if I get pulled over? Hey, then you have to think about removing yourself from that type of situation. It's a thought right now. I know it's not easy because this is what you've been doing all this time, but it's a conversation, and everybody's having it. At one point, me and the person I work with sat back and watched them have this conversation among themselves and begin to solve their issues among themselves. We were just a conduit. We just created the platform. You see what I'm saying? It's not all about me, any one particular person drilling down what they think should happen. It's inside of them already. They have it in there. We just have to help them believe that it's actually there. Like Mr. Impossible said, if we tell our kids, no, don't do that, what do you mean, no, don't do it? But this is how I feel. And then, in Black Council, you feel what? You're going to feel this hand across your lips. Go sit down somewhere. That's wrong because then they feel like I can't talk to anybody at all.
Yep.
Nobody.
Right.
So it's non-traditional. It's not anything special according to other people, but it works. We went from having 16, 17 people to 54 because they want to know, they want to talk, they want to hear, they want to ask questions, and nobody's shunning them. No stupid question. Ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
If it's about your life, ask the question. If it's more personal, one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to show yourself, you present yourself as a person. Not somebody, not just a number. No, I got my pencil, I'm ready. No, that's not the way it works. It isn't. Because what are you trying to cultivate? If you're trying to cultivate an office that only deals with people one at a time and that's it, that's fine. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to impact enough people so they begin to impact each other. And that's the way it works. And it may not work that way for everybody.
Love that vision.
It may not work for everybody, but it works that way for us. And besides that, me and Mr. Signono, the people that I work with now, we've all been doing this community work for years. We've been out at the schools, out at community centers. We've been out at the middle schools, sometimes elementary schools, where we're always out there. And you want them to recognize you for the positive things that you're saying because it'll jog their memory. Mr. Walter told me this. I had one kid come up and was like, man, Mr. Walter, I'm getting ready to buy my own house. Black kid, black, out of high school. I remember we talked about this, out of high school, black kid. He wasn't wanting to be part of gang no more. He wanted to live a life. He wanted to have a good life and he wanted to have things. Yeah, it doesn't tell him from having responsibility, but it's a start for him. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So when that happens, and that's what I said, I don't care whose neighborhood it is. If it's a black neighborhood, let's go do a barbecue. Watch what's gonna happen. People will start coming out. And food is the way that people start. They'll sit down and they'll start talking about stuff, or they'll put their input in. That's what happened at my auntie's house, my grandmother's house. The door was open. She put a spread out, and my auntie was. She said she put a gun by the door. This is for y'all niggas. Let's go act up. You think anybody acted up? Nobody acted up. They wanted to have a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Wanted to talk, and she allowed that to happen. That's what really brained me. And I didn't think I was going to be a counselor at any point in my life. I honestly ran into some mortgage and finance the first 10 or 15 years of my life. And I was like, this ain't working. I fell right back into where I was supposed to be. And that's community support, helping community, helping kids, helping young adults. There are some that are just bent on this is my life, and this is how I'm going to live it. I know I'm just going to, when I die, somebody's going to blow my brains out. Wow. And this is a message from an old man sent to a young man. That part has to stop. Yes, that message has to end. No, this is not the resolve, because this is the resolve that the system wants to see. The system wants to see that you're out of control. Oh, we're going to put a little bit of money down there to keep it going, but we're not going to put enough down there to make the full change. And like Queenie was saying about the funding, like me and Ms. Signora, we're talking about funding. I'm eventually going to be branching away from where I'm at and doing something like that. Because otherwise, it's just they want to have some type of control of what you do and own the people that you're bringing to the table. I'm not down with that at all, period. I want everyone to be happy. I want everybody to, look, again, this is life. We're living it. But if everybody can stop one day, one day of a month and say, let's just eat and talk, what harm is that going to do? Not going to hurt nobody.
I mean, you're gonna have a lot of stomachs that's gonna be sitting outside of pants, but other than that, no.
Well, I mean, but that's if that helps them, that helps them move forward.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And it's again, for us, it's not a hard thing. But you're right. They don't. I'm not going to sit and go.
Can I say something?
Miss Leslie Robbins, I hear you. I'll see you.
You know, I'm okay. First of all, how shall I say this? You're talking about mental health, right?
Yes, we are.
Mhm.
And it sounds like we're discussing an emotional stability or instability or whatever.
Yeah.
Mental health is for me is torn down into two different areas. You have what we're speaking on now as the emotional mental health of a person.
Right.
But
Mhm.
now I have dealt with organic mental health in the past, where people with disorders, and some of these disorders come from trauma, things that have happened to them, created anxiety, or just tore them up, mentally tore them up.
Right.
Some are born with some things. I use schizophrenia as an example, and those two need to be separated. But I like what everybody is saying, and what to me it alludes to is that emotional stability is something that needs to be taught in a parenting situation. So it sounds like, one of the
Yes.
solutions is better parenting.
Yes.
Better parenting. Quit relying on the
Agreed.
schools to parent your children, and you parent your children yourself. Do those values,
Jack.
teach them values
Jack.
and beliefs. And it just tripped me out during COVID, where
That's my mommy. That's
all
my
parents
mommy.
were upset because kids had to stay home. They're your kids.
Yep. Especially when
Why
they're
you
Say it.
back
fussing
home.
because they got to stay home? You
Say
need
that.
to. And to me, it was an opportunity for us,
Yeah.
especially Black people, to empower your children, give them a
Hmm.
foundation. But we were so caught up on, what am I going to do with you? You home? What you supposed to do with them? Those are your children. So it sounds like the problem is coming from the home, as it has been said. So
Yeah.
perhaps it's time that we get into, teaching parenting classes. Back.
Yes.
Yes.
Check.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
100%.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree no better than that because what I was raised as and what I had to learn to teach my daughters were totally different because when I started teaching my daughters certain aspects of spirituality, they said, "Don't teach that. That's devil worship." But it wasn't nothing but just different understanding of how to deal with the spirit and mind. It wasn't like I was teaching them to believe in anything. It was just giving them different direction. Another great book, Seed of the Soul. Yep. You know what I mean? Another great book. And it
I
talks
love
about
you.
that
I love you,
responsibility.
Apostle. I
Uh,
love you. I love you.
oh man, I keep them coming, bro. But this is a great book that talks about responsibilities. This is the first time when I read that I realized I had addictions to my own emotions. And sometimes us as men, we don't know we are addicted to certain type of emotion and certain type of thought. So it has in a book about a chapter about intentions. It has intentions one and intentions two. So your intentions is a motherfucker. But yeah, it goes through different aspects of life. So we as men, I say too, that's why I said we have to learn because a lot of things that we're going through, as Miss Robinson said, it's all emotion because no one has given us a practical principle way of living. You
Right.
know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Everything is done off the fly. So when you learning as a father that lived through fatherless pain and gave fatherless pain to my daughters, that's some real shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? To realize that I actually my presence or not being there caused more effect than me coming back and saying, "Well, I got this great information. Where the fuck was you when I was 3 and 4 years old?"
Right.
Amen.
Hey, that's cool. Hey, I appreciate you right now. I love the change that you made in your life, and you ain't running the streets no more. But motherfucker, when I needed you, you wasn't there. That's facts for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's a fatherless pain that I know I caused. So that's why the learning is everything. It's everything. We have to teach. We have to learn to teach.
Mm-mm-mm.
So now I guess the question is, what
Mm.
happens with that gap? So
What do we do with the gap?
my grandchildren, your grandchildren, how to deal with their emotions, how to grow physically, spiritually, seek knowledge, maybe spiritual, religious,
Keep
whatever
holding it
that
up.
looks
Keep
like.
holding it up.
You got another book. Lord,
Yeah, I know, right?
So,
what?
Oh, the
so
quality.
you asked me how I teach that. I teach my grandkids to 7. I taught my daughter to 7. Both of my daughters have this book, and we teach these principles to my grandkids. So we talking about solutions. The
Okay,
solution is understand.
correct. I got that. So
Okay.
your children and grandchildren, my children and grandchildren, okay? There
Hmm.
is a section in between your children and your grandchildren. There's at
Uh
least
huh.
a 15-year gap in between there that both your children and your grandchildren have to deal with. They will have no home training whatsoever
Okay. Here we go.
during the pandemic.
Here we go. You ready?
Mm.
I love it, Toodles. I love it.
When I was doing social work during the pandemic, I was talking to
Okay.
parents on a regular basis that were sitting home with their children that they just met for the first time when the school said school will be closed during this pandemic. Okay, they don't know how to teach their children, communicate to their children, provide example to their children. They don't even like their children. And the crazy thing is that's what you facilitated. You don't like what you facilitated.
Mm.
That you sent off to somebody else to deal with it. So you wasn't worried about it. But now that it's back in your plate, and you have to deal with it yourself. Miss so-and-so from second grade class that your son or daughter is a distraction, temperamental, that attach all kinds of labels to your kid that doesn't even belong to your kid. But because they aren't given the proper attention or being taught how they learn, now all of a sudden they have an issue. They don't have an issue, they just don't learn like the next kid learns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do we deal with that group of individuals, that 15-year gap that are met with, mind you, they have a teacher that would tolerate them, that they were used to, that some actually like better than their parent. Forced into a space with a parent that does not like them, cannot communicate with them, has no actual interest in their well-being. And I'm not saying that they don't, okay, because people love their children.
In their own way.
They love little Johnny, and that's great.
Mhm.
But they love little Johnny. So now that they're at the point where they're realizing the errors of their ways, and the pandemic is over, and they can send them back to school. What do we do with that gap? Because I know my grandchildren, your grandchildren will say, if you hurt my feelings, that made me angry. This is how I feel about this. They have no problems doing that. How our 8 and 5-year-olds are now talking to 15 and 17-year-olds, and they can articulate better at 5 and 8 than the 17-year-old.
Cool. That's real. That's
And
real.
the 17-year-old is going to be their boss somewhere down the line at McDonald's or wherever.
Mm.
There's that gap there. How do we teach our children properly and give them the safeguards they need to protect themselves from that whole gap that ain't got no home training whatsoever?
And honestly, this is where
Oh, okay. But I'm sorry, Walter. I was trying to understand what Toodles was saying. So, Toodles, help me to understand this. What you're saying is we could be raising our children right, but there are people that are not. So, how do we keep our grandkids from being like the other kids? Am I understanding that correctly?
no.
No, our kids will never be like those children.
Huh?
We fine with that. She's talking about the gap in between the ones who do know and the ones that don't.
Yeah.
Right. How do we teach them to protect themselves? Stay home training.
You know what? I honestly believe it goes right back to that village mentality. We've gotten away from helping each other out with the children, and maybe not so much of gotten away from it. Some people don't even want you to talk to their kids.
Check.
Stay away from. You know what I'm saying? So, but communication is the key, and there is always someone that can reach a child that no one else can. There's always someone. And those people are the ones that have to step up and help. But it still goes right back to the home. It still goes right back to that home. There
Yep.
needs to be, how shall I say it? But my son can attest to this. If
Maybe.
a sound parent is concerned about their children and their children's children and so on, those offspring, that parent is going to sit that child down and talk to that child before they make that decision of getting married. Because it's questions that you want to ask them that they're not thinking about because they're in lust.
Yep.
Questions like,
No.
Okay, you know, you get old, or if something happens to you and you got to go in a nursing home, you want me to send you? Does this sound familiar, Ira? What are your plans for the future? Do you want children? And if you want children, why do you want those children? What are you going to teach those children? Do those children become
Mm-hmm.
your priority until they're 18, 21 years old? Do you forsake
Mm.
yourself for your children? Because what
Ooh.
I'm seeing a lot of right now is, you know,
So,
people riding around in these nice cars, wearing this expensive stuff. Their kids look like ragamuffins, and the parents on the phone, and no conversation with the children. No one is teaching anybody anything. They're just living. And when you
yeah,
live like that, you're gonna mess up several
What is it?
generations.
It's survival
Yeah.
mode.
they
You're
are
in
survivors.
survival mode, and you're going to be taught to be in survival mode for the
Mhm.
generations to come. Because what one
Yeah.
generation is doing negatively is being transferred down to another generation. Now, yes, it's going to be some little ones in there that's going to, you know, there are some special children out there that going to turn things around. There's always a Martin and there's always a John. But
Hey.
Mm.
everybody's not Martin and everybody's not John. And we don't have enough of them left, shall I say, that want to make a change in the world.
Man.
So, Miss Sigma Uno, I would say to answer your question on what you can do to actually uh, be careful with your own children. One thing that I learned in this training that I had is that you deal with when you're dealing with people and you obviously see that they just mm, you go in it like you're dealing with a child, but you be careful of condescension because mentally you
Mm-hmm.
are kind of still dealing with a child, somebody who doesn't know how to effectively express their emotions in a healthy
Mm-hmm.
way. You're dealing with someone who they may have been taught, like, oh, well, I'm older, so that just means I'm smarter and I'm better. Okay, if you feel
I
that
have a
way, that's
five-year-old
fine.
daughter.
But
No.
would you mind if I show
Oh
you
yeah.
this way?
I've got a
You
five-year-old.
and it sucks because effectively what's happening is you're burdening your grandkids and you're putting more labor on your own children because of the rest of the world and how they didn't want to raise their kids properly. But
Mhm.
that is the only solution that I found that works when you're dealing with individuals like that.
Hmm.
Correct. So what was
Because depending on how your grandkids respond, it could put them in a sticky situation. Because I've had people come at me saying, "Oh, well, you think you better because you what? Like what? Like that can happen." So yeah, just talk to them like a child. Well, not like a child, like condescendingly, but kid gloves, kid gloves. Yeah.
We throw these.
I have
We
five.
throw hands around here.
Yeah.
So how do you? So in other words, I need to follow my 5-year-old around and go ahead and punch the adult in the mouth.
No. Hey, don't say that because I would definitely walk
No,
behind you and be like,
no, no,
okay,
no.
son, this one? Okay, got you. Okay.
Because
Well,
a 5-year-old that has got more home training in his 5 years of life than a 21-year-old that he was in a conversation with at a McDonald's.
Yes.
Hmm.
Agree.
Well, also
But
teach them to remove themselves, to not give up that energy in situations like that. Sometimes you got to remove yourself too, because realistically, like you said earlier, like they're not like us. They not like us. That's really
Come
what
on,
it
Kendrick.
is.
Come on, Kendrick.
They're not like us.
say that
The
like
more
They
I
not like
six
even
us.
nine
learn,
God.
the
I'm a
more
Yeah,
I
non-ether.
Kendrick
learn
Lamar right there. They not like us. They
the
not
more
like us.
I learned about my own emotions and how, like, I didn't even know I was regulating them all my life, and I didn't know that certain things were a certain way with me. And then when I went out and I continued dealing with people, and I was like, "Ooh, you don't look within, huh? Like, dang, I don't even because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how to express yourself. Like,
Come
you
on
out
with it.
here acting kind of crazy, and and sometimes you're gonna have to remove yourself. They're gonna have to learn to remove themselves, or they're gonna have to handle them with kid gloves in order to move
Mm-hmm.
around in society because they'll come off. I get so tired of hearing it. Like people will come down on them just because of the fact of how they speak. the way that they can express themselves and understand different terms at their age, people will come down on them and look down on them just because that,
Yeah.
especially in our community.
Mm.
So you just have to teach them, like, those little things, baby. If it's getting, just remove yourself. They not like us. And it's okay.
And
That don't mean they're bad people. They just not like us.
We got to change the
and I
narrative.
would also like to, yeah, I would also like to say that we should build systems and webinars and different principles and school for the ones who don't know, that's looking to know, because some people don't know and they don't want to know, but there are some that are looking to know, but they don't know where to go for the information. So if we had, there's particular webinar, let's just say that you can come in and you can actually be taught what it is and how to understand how to communicate with your child, how to deal with emotions as a parent. Some parents don't even understand what it is to be a parent. There's a difference between being a provider, a parent, and a guardian of a soul. Those are whole different things. So some people only know how to provide. Some people only know how to parent. We must understand that these are souls, and we must be guardians of these souls. We must give them all the things they need in order for them to become with mental health, finance, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But being able to, like going to school, like they send us to school for a particular reason because they wanted to indoctrinate a particular certain system. If we do the same thing for parents that don't know and
Hmm.
children that are hurt, that are scarred, that are trauma, that are young men that can't speak, and we create same systems for that same thing, then guess what? We had a better advantage. We got a different vantage point.
Oh, so you the principal. Okay.
Oh
What you
gosh.
say?
But no, this is, but he's
I
right.
mean, I want to be on the back end, not the principal. I need to be on the back end, not the
No, but if we're
principal.
talking, right, I'm sorry.
Who's
Walt
going?
gonna be the principal.
Yeah, but if we're talking solutions
Yeah,
like this, and we're talking about the work, it's one thing if we have our home life
Hmm.
wrapped up and we know what our kids know what to expect and they understand the standard that we're teaching. Not saying that they won't go wayward, but we have to create opportunities for the people that don't have are not at that advantage at all. So creating
exactly.
opportunities like this is like Ms. Queen was saying earlier, to create to become this, to say this is what's available to you, what you can do. You don't have to stay there. You don't this is where you can thrive or bring yourself up to. Or this is what we can do to help you get to where you need to go to. There has to
Exactly.
be an opportunity for that to happen. If we don't give an opportunity at all, then we can't say that we try. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
I'm not talking. And
Mhm.
I'm always talking from this perspective because I this is where I came from. So I saw the disparity of where I lived. You see what I'm saying? And the ones that actually wanted to be better than where they were, and not even necessarily better, they wanted an opportunity to live a life that made a difference and that they can call sustainable. You see what I'm saying? Right now, there's no in that neighborhood they can't think about sustainability because it's all fight or flight. So to
That part.
give a child an opportunity to come out of that systematic thinking is to give them a chance to live a better life. And we have to give them an opportunity. Right now, these aren't opportunities. This is the government saying systematically we need the poor, systematically we need the homeless, systematically we need dysfunction. We're fitting our people in a portion of the economy as opposed to saying these are people and they deserve better. They deserve opportunities. They don't have that at this very minute. So if you don't have an opportunity, you create an opportunity, and sometimes creating an opportunity causes chaos. You see what I'm saying? It's nothing they can stand on and live with for the rest of their lives. And that's what we need to begin to do to create those opportunities. And I've thought about a lot of this. I thought about a lot of this because we're in the process of creating something like this to be an opportunity for these people. We can't force anything down their throat, but to create an opportunity for them to take advantage of, that's what we can do. So we put, even if you put money in their hand, they're not going to make a proper decision. They're not going to make proper decisions right now. It has to be something that says, you want to live a better life. Here's a way to do it. Let's have a conversation. What is your dream? What do you want to do? And it has to start with the young people. It starts with the youth,
The youth.
the young adults. It starts there because they're the next wave of the future. They can learn it. They can teach it to someone else. Each one teach one.
Okay.
So but that's kind of where I see it. I don't like leaving people out. I understand that there are some people that have it all together and they can teach that, and the children will be receptive of it. But there are some that don't have that opportunity. So let's create an opportunity, right, whether they take it or not. This is an opportunity.
You know what, Walter? That's exactly what I'm going to do. You talking about making a change, and I said that the change comes from within. And I think it was 90, 98, 99. Ira and I was talking about this the other day. Ira had a friend, a classmate that was 15 years old in the fourth grade, fifth grade. What grade was it, Ira?
I don't know. I'm still trying to remember where I was at certain times in my life.
You and I just talked about this the other day. Okay, you
yeah. Well, Sherelle brought it to my attention. I was like, what, fourth grade?
About the fourth grade, and you had a guy in your class that was like 15 years old, terrorizing the whole class. And we were stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia. And it was at that time that it was laid in my spirit that the children and the parents need help. And I was to start, and I haven't done it, and I'm currently working on it. I was to start the Agape House. Agape House is a house with many rooms in it. It has a parenting room, it has a children's room, it has a women's room, husband room. It has all kind of rooms in this house. So it's taken me that long to get right to do this house. But God has paved my way for me to do this. I got my degree in mental health, marriage and family therapy. I mean, dealing with crazy people all my life and when I say crazy, don't take it at heart. It's taken lightly. We all crazy. We're borderline there. But
For sure.
The exposure. So that is the change that I am to make in someone's life. That is the change. Because we all need help. We all don't know. And most of the people that need the help, they don't even ask for it. They suffer in silence.
Right. So that part.
They suffer in silence. So for the remaining days of my life here on this earth, I'm compelled to make a change because I have grandchildren. And Toodles, I understand your question now. How do I get those grandchildren, or how do we get those grandchildren to know right from wrong? And I must say, their parents are doing a very good job at it. Teaching them at a young age right from wrong. And to be strong, be a leader and not a follower. And it worked for me as a kid. I mean, I was ostracized and still is. I'm the alien, but guess what? I wasn't in jail. I didn't have a house full of kids. Not that it's anything as a kid, not a house full of kids. I grew up without a male in my life as a kid, but I was taught values, beliefs, to self-esteem, to believe in myself, and to know that every time somebody say do something, you need to think. What's the consequences of doing what you're doing?
Exactly.
What is it? Parents just don't tell you something to stop you from having fun. They know the consequences of your behavior. And if you have a relationship with those kids, and I know I done veered again, but if you have a relationship with those kids, they will remember what you're telling them. They still gonna be kids, but trust me, they won't make those wrong decisions early in life. But my change, my solution to the problem is, I'm gonna make that change. I'm gonna touch as many as I can to help them to move forward and to bring someone along somewhere down the line. What, play it back? That's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna take some political help. That's fine, because it needs politics. These politicians, there needs to be something in every community that's
Mm.
going to help a child,
Yeah,
that's going to
definitely.
help a single parent. But me sitting around talking about it and not doing anything about it, ain't nothing going to change.
Exactly.
All right.
So that's
Um,
when my son had that 15-year-old and bully in the classroom. That's when it was shown to me. You got to make a difference in this world. And you can. Only if it's one person, you can do it. Just do it.
facts, 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 facts. I'm about to. We are now at our closing comments. I'm with that. I'm going to go ahead and go straight into the gratitude and what you learned on this episode. I'll do mine last, and I'm gonna have Impossible go right before I go, obviously. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Miss Buzzy Robbins. If you can come back on real quick, I'm gonna have you go first since I know you don't want to be on camera like that. So with it, I'm gonna have you just come through and hit us with that gratitude and what you learned on this episode. Where you at? There you are.
I've learned that there are some very powerful people on this podcast. Um, yeah, very very powerful people. I'm people that I wouldn't mind having in my circle. Some of you really are in my circle, and some of you I don't even know. But if you, I learned that there's more of us out there than we know.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned, don't be judgmental. It is what it is, but what you gonna do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Check.
I'm grateful to hear that today because it's encouraging me. Everything that I've heard today is encouraging me to continue to go, keep going, keep going. It's gonna get there. It's gonna get there.
Yeah.
Don't stop. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Put the right people in my ear to speak those things that I need to hear. It's gonna happen.
Man,
So that's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for you guys. How's that?
Hey,
this is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Miss Bianca, Miss Queenie.
This is so beautiful.
I had to unmute, my bad. So as always, I'm grateful to be here, grateful to know that you all exist within my realm. And something that honestly, I mean, what did I learn? Because it's like on these topics, you all seem to have the same mindset that I have. I learned it from varying perspectives because I've never had kids. I ain't never been pregnant. So, the questions thing, those are questions that I have thought about, but I never considered why I myself wanted children. I just always wanted little minions who could be intellectually superior to others. And I always always no, that is no, when people ask me, because realistically having children is hard, but
Mhm.
I didn't think to consider, like, from the like the in-ground parents perspective, like this span that we have to where it doesn't matter. I never considered it doesn't matter what I teach my nephews, what I teach my own kids, because they're still going to have to deal with idiots. And I never actually considered that. I just, in my mind, thought, oh, I can just have them in these environments and away from the idiots. But it
Mm,
doesn't matter what you do; they're going to run across idiots. Like, my whole mindset around that was, have my children. I can go back and help the hood because that's where I'm from. But I
mm,
didn't want my children a part of that, because then I didn't consider, outside of martial arts, that they would know how to do anything to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
But being the having a parent grandparent perspective and the connectability necessity, I think I'm considering that now because I never considered that. Mm.
Respect, respect.
And I'm done.
Mrs. Sigma Uno.
Why y'all always say it like that? I'm
because we
always
know.
be in the room because I know that just being in the room for some people is all that they actually need. Because I've worked with you and I've seen multiple generations what it's like for me to just be in the room and what that does for them
Mm,
and the opportunities that they have and the opportunities that are open to them and the new ideas that come out of it, and the growth that can come from just one person being in the room. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not their parent, it's not their family member, but just to be that one person in the room. Um, Again, I've been at graduations where no family members have showed up, and I was there one person in the room. So if you don't think you can affect change by steering somebody in the right direction because you don't feel that you're a mentor or you don't feel that you're qualified, if there is a person that has gravitated to you for whatever reason, be there one person in the room.
I love that. I love that. Mr. Sigma Uno.
Awesome, Toodles, awesome.
Yeah, gratitude. I'm very glad to be in a collective of amazing minds. I appreciate the heart of each one of you guys. I'm grateful for that. I have learned that everyone has a description of what we need, and if we all work hard in our respective areas, that we can actually put a dent in the problem that we have in our respective areas, and maybe around a portion of the world. I mean, we'll start with the country first. I appreciate you all. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the the women in the room always. I appreciate and respect your view on what we need as a family restaurant.
Yeah.
That's all for me.
Well, the long awaited.
Don't do it like that. I mean, I'm my gratitude right now. I was given a task was to create an incubating system for where a child comes in, and in spite of their different talents, whatever they've gone through, whatever that may be, from child to whenever they leave, and I'm saying around about 18, 19 years old, it's an incubation of how to bring that purpose out of them, how to bring that great talent out of them, how to see that skill within them, how to allow them to be who they are, to naturally allow their talents to really show themselves. And when I was first given that task, I said, man, I don't even know how to do none of this shit. And then all of a sudden, I met all of you all, and y'all just made my job a whole lot easier. So I'm so grateful that I came in the communication with all of y'all, and you have degrees on implementation on what I really desire to do. So that for me, I am so grateful for, because my job has become 100% easier. All I gotta do now is create the system, and everything else can take care of itself. And what I've learned, as soon as you think you by yourself, you're not. And I'm a piggyback on Miss Robinson. When you think there's not a lot of people out there that think like you, there's a whole lot of other people out there that think like you. So shout out, and I appreciate for everyone that's fulfilling their purpose and walking in their path and their passion. I am so grateful for that, and that's my take on that tonight. Y'all, thank you. Y'all made my job a whole lot easier. Appreciate
That's what's up. Ooh. Kyle Anderson says you are never alone. Respect, respect.
it. Relax, respect
With
for real.
that, I'm gonna go ahead and hit my gratitude and what I learned. I am forever grateful for the individuals that come onto the platform who have all of us have a voice, but not all of us have the courage to stand up and speak. I am grateful for those who come up and speak. I am grateful for the realization that I'm grateful for my grandma bringing it to my attention that one of the things that I seek is talking to other people with an intellect. And with that, that is what has caused me to create this podcast. So, I mean, I do this podcast more along the lines for my own mental health. The topics tonight,
Mm.
The topics tonight was phenomenal. I mean, we started off with the man versus the bear, ultimately coming down to the trust in humanity. So that way it wasn't broken down between a gender type deal. Then we end up going into mental health in the melanated community. We end up rolling into how can we bridge that gap of the children and the things that they are learning. Ultimately, what I feel like the solution to all of that comes down to is community. I mean, there is that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, everybody's keeps saying, like, everybody's saying unity, unite. Caleb says that if we as a people could come together, that would be the best change. Michael Jackson said, if you want to make the world a better place, you must first look in the mirror and be that change. My mother even said it earlier. She was like, look, anytime that you think you are alone, you're not. Then it also, there's always going to be other people who think like you, but it does take at least one person to stand up to us. Go ahead and get that going. I learned tonight that the community, we need to get back to community. We have been divided altogether. And I feel like there was a hidden agenda behind that. I'm not going to get into that right now. But they realized that, you know what, if we break up the families, we're going to take their strength away. And
Yep.
once they did that, they decided to start pitting us against one another. Then they decided to make it, you know what, I'm not going to pin them just against one another. I'm going to make it to where the men hate the women and the women hate the men. And with that, it divided us even more. So if we can get back down to community, if we can get back down to knowing who our grandparents are, being able to sit down and effectively talk, communicate with our elders, even our parents. I'm like, that would change a whole lot of things, because the biggest issue currently is the fact that we are not able to voice our opinions without feeling like we are going to get attacked, get killed, or get arrested. So when it comes down to actually being able to speak freely and to be able to come together as a community, to be able to police one another without some type of backlash, community is, I feel, the biggest solution to the topics that we had today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll this out, because this was an episode
In this dance we call the past.
of all y'all.
A fragile thread, but we'll find strength. Let love spread. Life's a climb. Just take a step. Rise above. Find your breath in the darkness. We will find a shining light to free our mind. To free our mind. Self-growth blooms like petals bloom, shedding tears will heal the wounds and the chaos